Hey everyone, welcome to this art journal process. I began with the idea that I would use all these leaves that I have painted with my watercolors, just with a brush, and then I'd fussy cut, and then it totally goes in a very, very different direction if you've seen the little preview from the beginning. So I'm starting here with some blue paint. This is just some Jane Davenport paint, and I'm just putting it over. I wanted to keep some white space on the top and the bottom. I don't know that I've done any white space on my art journal before, and I've done 2 for this video series. So this is the first one that you guys will be able to see. So I'm just adding the paint over just with a simple brush stroke, having a little bit of a dry just because I wanted to layer some colours on top of it. So I have been forced to use my heat gun, my heat tool, which is something I don't often do. So put it on a lighter blue. I like the contrast. It works really nicely. But I'm just making sure it covers that layer, so each layer is taking up that middle space and leaving that previous colour in the background on the top and the front. So do add this with the same kind of technique with a few different colours, drying it off in between, of course, because I don't in this stage want the colours to blend. So adding some yellow. This one is some Flutter by Design paint. Really like theirs. These dry really quickly, as well as their good coverage and thickness. So if you can get your hands on them, it's definitely worth your while. They've got some really nice colours too in the collections. Some even, some nice tones. So adding the yellow on, you can see it's looking really nice, and the white space just adds a good definition to it. So on it goes. Give it another dry. And I do dry it for longer than I show you. I have cut out the drying time just in case anyone's thinking, wow, it dries so quick. Adding on some pink. So these colours have just come, as I've looked over to my paint stash, I'm just like, yep, that's going to be the next colour. Yep, that's the next colour. I haven't thought about it beforehand and planned out 4 or 5 colours, anything like that. You certainly could. And if it's what helps you feel comfortable to do it, then do it that way and make it work. Now, this is where I'm like, will the leaves work on there? Nope, they certainly will not. So then I go through my stamps and I'm trying to work out what I want to use. I've got no idea what I'm doing, but I have some kind of horizontal design happening, so I need to stay true to that as such. So I pull out these little tribal banners and I stamp them. They're just pretty sure from Kaisercraft, probably a while ago. I don't know if I've ever used them even. Well, actually, they might even be from Kmart. They're from early on in my stash anyway, so probably 3 years ago. I started back in 2015. No, 4 years ago. Don't know my maths at this time of night, apparently. Anyway, I'm just going to cut off the top one. I like the top banner, and also like the way it's stamped. It's stamped a bit neater or a bit more even than the other ones this time. That's okay. I'll find a reason to use those ones left behind. So I'm just fussy cutting them. You can see they're just straight lines. Nothing to that fussy cutting at all. But I just thought I'd have a continuous line. So stamping 2 of them and putting them together, I figured it wouldn't be super obvious. And if it was super obvious, we could cover it up and make it look like it's a full line. Then I put it like this, and I think that might be the way to go. So I get out my gel medium in a moment. I think about it. See, here's my continuous line. And I wonder if that's the way to go, but it just looks too symmetrical then. And I'm just like, nope. Pull out a quote and use my calligraphy pen to just write it. Not that the calligraphy pen does much to the writing. I guess it makes it quite neat, especially for my writing, but it doesn't, it's not like all fancy calligraphy writing of the, back in the day. So I'm just going to cut these out, and I had the idea to have them just sitting as 3 pieces, 3 words across the page, and that the happy would be huge, because obviously that's why I've written it huge. And that would take up the whole left side. Stupidly, I didn't measure, so the happy is way too big for that side. So put that aside, have a think about it, come back to these banners, these strips, and I go with it, get out the gel medium, get out a brush and I'm just going to put some gel medium on the bottom and then some gel medium on top just to make sure they are attached to the page. I do put it down not straight and then I move it. So if you're looking at it and freaking out like I was when I was editing, but here I go, I fixed it up. Better. It's not straight, that's for sure, but it's better than it was. So I'm going to put this second one on here and I'm going to put it over the crease. So I do fold it and then rip it so that you probably should cut it. But I do that so that it's over the crease rather than it being folded in the crease and causing an issue. And then I have a bit of trouble sticking this left side on, so have to hold it and, sorry, I don't mean to hold it with the rude finger. So on goes the gel medium. There I go, fix it up. Better than what it was. And then I'm just going to cut off that edge that's overhanging. And then I find a spot for it to go. I just dip it in my gel medium, both sides, and then use my finger to put it on. That's how lazy I am, because I'd already put my paintbrush in the water and I didn't want to get another paintbrush out. Fingers to the rescue. Put on a bit more gel medium because surprisingly that technique is not the most minimalist when it comes to applying gel medium. So you can see even that looks really cool. I think that just by itself has already got merit. So I've come out with some colours and I'm going to add some dots in various sizes, just using my paintbrush to add some spots here, there and everywhere, and then I go spot crazy with a few colours. So starting off with this lime green, which is a Flutterby colour again, here and there, even into the white space, and eats up some of the white space, but that also then unifies it so that it is capturing the whole page. So onto the left hand side as well. Now I'm thinking at this stage my title will go in that middle, so that's why I'm not concentrating my dots in the middle and the pink there. But I end up putting it everywhere soon in terms of the space. So having a bit of trouble doing it over the crease there and making it even, or even-ish, because I'm painting circles, how could they be even? Coming in now, and I'm going to use the black. So just adding some of the black to match the banner, pulling out another paintbrush. I use heaps of paintbrushes for this one, but that's why I have heaps of paintbrushes, so might as well use them when I want them, when I need them. I put it on here, and I hate the way it covers that end of the banner. Now quickly I grab a wipe and pull it off. Because the banner is covered with gel medium, it's easy to wipe it off. So I instead put it there. It looks much better there. So once again, just adding spots everywhere. Just filling in the space. I'm not being concise about the position, like there's one here, I'd better put one there, you know, that kind of thing. I'm just looking at it, and where I see, where my eye rests and I need something, that's where I'm putting it. So you can see, thinking a little about it, and then I just go back and put it there anyway, because then my eye comes back to it and needs a spot in that position. So I've dried it off a bit, I've pulled out my white pen, paint pen, and I'm just adding some squiggly lines in the black. The black was just standing out too much, so I thought I'd pull it back by doing these squiggly white lines. And then I use my black pen to do black squiggly lines over the green. I was going to say orange. Over the green spots. And that sort of just also makes them stand out, as in, like, if you look at it, they sort of look like they're hovering above the background, like 3D kind of hovering. But doesn't make them stand out that they're like an eyesore where you could only see them and it takes over the page. So using some more Jane Davenport paint, why can I not say that tonight? I'm going to add some pink spots, just because it needed some. Otherwise it was just that pink in the background, and this is just a different shade, sort of like pinky purple shade, definitely different to the one in the middle. So adding that in. You can see the paint covers it, you know, if you put enough paint on the dot, you can cover the colour in the background without it being like super amount of paint that it takes 10 years to dry each spot. So that's what I like about these two brands of paint. They cover really well and they paint really nicely, and the tones are just delightful. So, just having a play with these spots. Put my paintbrush away, give it a bit of a dry, and I'm going to go in with the white pen. That's what I thought, but then I thought I'll just leave them there. So I come in with my title, and I realise I'm still not happy with the happy, so then I go in, move my paint out of the way before I get paint everywhere, and I write it differently, which I'll do in a moment, but I do just fussy cut these a bit better. So instead of being straight around the words, I trim it so there's just that little outline. So this makes a bit of a big, huge difference, I think. It makes it blend in a bit more rather than it being blocky. Sometimes I've done it before, I've wanted that blocky look, but today I didn't in the end. So fussy cutting the words, these two words, and then I'm going to write the word happy and fussy cut it as well. So I write it in a different size letters so that it looks happy, really. And I think about the capitals and lowercase, but also this size. I didn't want it to take up the whole right side. So you can see here, fussy cutting it. Not fully, like I'm not going up and down in the H. That's just too much effort. But I am going around the letters, and then I'm going to add it to the page. So once again, using gel medium. I am using gel matte medium so that it's not standing out as glossy, I believe. Maybe, I can't remember now. Oh, and I go around the H apparently. I look at it and realise, oh, I thought I was going to do the bottom of the H then. I was like, what? Anyway, so on it goes. And I'm just going to use some of the paint colours straight out of the bottles. I don't put paint on my table again. And I will paint over them to blend them in and use a wipe to take some of the colour off as well. So gluing it during the gel medium on the top and the bottom. So putting it on the top means that it's protecting that cardstock, which is just generic cardstock, and will mean that it won't absorb the paint and go all gross. It will then just have the paint sit on top and sit nicely. So putting these guys on, committing to the title, the quote. So this is what I find I do with my art journal. I enjoy the process and have fun and like the final design, and then I like adding a quote to it that most of the time I found on Pinterest. There's been a few that I've, read or screenshot off Facebook or Instagram and things like that. But most of the time I'm in the middle of doing a page or ending a page and I'm like, I want a quote about rain, or I want a quote about happy, and I'll get onto Pinterest. The fun thing about Pinterest is it's not just words written in, boring text. They're all like memes and pictures and fun scripty writing and all sorts of fun happiness. So you can see there I've added those in, and I do, looking at it now, I do like it being bold off the page like that, but I also like the way this ends up. So adding on a few of the colours just to blend it in the background so that it's not so stark on the page. So in with some yellow, no green obviously. It looks yellow painting on, but it's green in my hand. Well, I'm pretty sure anyway. Yeah, green. My glue, my gel medium, I haven't entirely waited for it to dry. On with some of this pinky purple. I'm just using a small brush, cleaning it in between, just adding little parts and using my finger to blend it through, and then using a wipe as well to bring back some of the colour so that it's not like, hey, I've just added brand new colour here and it doesn't, it stands out as much brighter and more full on than the background. Also, I want to be able to read the letters. So there we go. So it's sort of like as I was painting it, I've dropped these words in there and it's accumulated some of the paint. That's what it's like. Adding some of the blue, and this will be the last colour I add to it. You see there how it just becomes more of the page, and it's sort of like if you look more at the page and you spend a bit of a minute on there looking, that you end up seeing the quote and getting the message of the page. So here I am with the baby white, just pulling off a bit of the colour, and then I go in with a white Sharpie and just go over the word happy. I was going to outline it, but it just wasn't working for me. I didn't like the way it looked, so instead I go over the letters of the word happy and turn it white rather than black. I leave the just B as black letters, but I like the way it transforms this to make white. And that way, even like I said before, if you look, more you look, the more you see the message. So on it goes. I have waited a little bit for it to dry, but not as much as I should, which is why it's taken me a little bit to get the colour on there. But get there in the end, as always, cleaning off my paint pen just to make sure I'm not surprised next time I use it, which is now. I'm going to add some dots just for a different contrast, filling in some of that space in between the bigger dots, and it makes it look just so much different. So funny how you could look at it and go, ah, it's finished, but then when you add these dots, I'm like, oh, apparently it wasn't finished. This is what it needed, and I just didn't know. So on it goes, and then I'm going to get out my black paint pen. And instead of doing dots again, I do little dashes in little clusters. So a little cluster of dashes here. That becomes a bit bigger. Have you ever done that? You add a dash and then you're like, oh, now I have to add a few more here to even it out to make it look more random rather than something just oddly placed. But I add some of these little clusters of dashes in a few spots. Once again, it's one of those like hidden treasures. When you look at the layout, the more you look, the more you see. It's like finding Where's Wally kind of ones where you're like, oh, I found Wally, but now I can find the wizard, and now I can find the dog, and you know, all that kind of kind of jazz. So this is going to be the finished product. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video today. And if you are enjoying watching what I'm producing and sharing with you, definitely subscribe and like and comment. I'd love to hear and communicate with you all. Here's my paint pen in pink this time, and I added just a few of the dots around. Just because it needed, apparently. This didn't make as much of a striking effect as adding the white dots, but it does add to it. It doesn't take away and ruin it, that's for sure. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't show you. If I got to this stage and ruined my art journal process or my art journal page, I'd probably be like so annoyed, cover it all with black and start again. But anyway, that's today's video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye, everyone.